Ladies and gentlemen, this is Wasif Naqvi, and I am working as Research Associate with Sustainable Development Policy Institute. I welcome you to the public-private dialogue on export exemption schemes in Pakistan. We are grateful to all of you for taking time out and making yourself available for this important meeting. The government of Pakistan has shown strong resolve to boost export competitiveness across industry and other sectors through wide variety of export promotion schemes which are now available to the business community. The government also wishes that with the help of business community, it can improve access and ease with which these export schemes can be utilized. We are grateful to FPR and PRIEA for the collaboration towards hosting this meeting. We particularly acknowledge the leadership and advice provided at several stages by Ms. Hussain Bano Barki and Mr. Ahmed Fasi. We can now start our meeting with a round of introduction from there, please.
Samia Salim, I'm Assistant Director, Trade Development Authority of Pakistan.
I'm Hera Tanveer and I'm representing All Pakistan Textile Mills Association. I'm working as a policy research analyst there.
I'm Jodhri Bilal, Director, Glitz Pharma.
Rizwan Afzal Chaudhry, Commercial Manager for Polyester Business of ICI Pakistan Limited.
Mohammed bin Ehsan Rathore, Assistant Market Research Manager, ICI Pakistan.
I am Naeem Siddiqui. I am the Chairman Subcommittee Income Tax and Sales Tax, Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Industries, and also I am the Executive Director of the Royal News.
I am Shahid Ali Khan, Additional Director, State Bank of Pakistan.
My name is Iqbal Munib. I'm Chief Exports at Federal Board of Revenue.
Welcome, sir.
I'm Hussain Bano Barki. I head the USAID funded project, Pakistan Regional Economic Integration Activity, PRIEA for short.
I'm Mohammed Ahmed, sitting President of Islamabad Chamber of Commerce and Industry.
I'm Akil Zishan. I'm Additional Director, Securities and Exchange Commission of Pakistan.
Waqar Ahmed, SDPI.
Syed Abbas Mehdi, Executive Director, Export Development Fund.
Assalamu alaikum ji. Saboor Malik, President, Rawalpindi Chamber of Commerce and Industries.
Sigma Shamoon from Rawalpindi Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Head of Research and Development Department.
Hafsa Javed, RCCI.
Anjum Abbas from Export Processing Zones Authority.
Ghulam Samad, Research Economist, Pakistan Institute of Development Economics, PIDE.
Parvez Anwar Sheikh, Towel Manufacturers Association of Pakistan.
Azhar Majid Sheikh, Member Executive Committee, Federation of Pakistan, Chambers of Commerce and Industry.
This is Rajat Murassan. I'm working as Advocacy Coordinator with SDPI.
So welcome to all of you, sir. I now hand over to Dr. Waqar for further proceedings, please.
Thank you, Wasif. So I join my colleague in welcoming all of you again. I'm really grateful to the participation over here. I understand that there was a lot of last-minute changes as well. People had to move calendars. I'm particularly grateful to all of you who have come from long distances. So Shahid Saab had to catch a 5 a.m. flight from Karachi. Rehan Brar Saab has come from all the way from Faisalabad, and really, I understand that other members of business community have also traveled distances. Once again, I think the point which Wasif emphasized, I would like to sort of echo that while we continue to talk on streamlining the trade regime, it's important to really get into the specifics. And I think export exemption schemes, particularly on the customs side, is one area which really requires a lot of specific discussion over here. We just have some slides over here to show you, probably if we can put up the presentation. I know that our chief of export exemption schemes will talk more about that, but this is just to sort of give you an overview where we are coming from. I think our discussion has to be grounded in where Pakistan government's priority stands in terms of export competitiveness. There's a big push, not just in narrative terms, but you also saw yesterday the finance advisor taking a press conference on fiscal stimulus, which is being provided to the exporting sectors to the tune of $300 billion. I think this is a very serious effort by the government, and they're very open to inputs and consultations by the government. And this kind of public-private dialogue, which we are hosting today, we need more of these if one is to come up with really concrete advice going forward. Maybe I'd like to stress upon the macro framework over here and the trade outlook that one sees, and then probably take you through our motivation to sort of hold this meeting at this juncture, and then probably come to the discussion points for today, keeping in time with the agenda which I have. But before that, maybe if I can request Ms. Burki for some welcome remarks, and maybe also to stress upon the thought process which actually went into not only organizing this meeting, but also PRIEA's own initiative for more structured public-private dialogues on this subject.
Thank you, Dr. Vakar, for organizing this event, but I would really like to congratulate SDPI for collecting this August group together, which is really key to having a constructive dialogue. PRIEA, as I will come to explain to you, is working to promote more private and public sector dialogue so that policy is developed keeping the practicality in mind, but it also becomes, your feedback and contribution also becomes a testing ground for policies and steps that may be considered or have been considered. PRIEA is a USAID funded project, and as the name suggests, Pakistan Regional Economic Integration, it does have a focus on promoting a regional trade and economic relationship with Pakistan's neighbors. But a significant portion of our work is focused on improving the enabling environment for business in general, but trade specifically. And one of the elements of an improved environment is policy, policy as well as its implementation. Both at the stage of the formation of the policy and as well as at the implementation, public-private sector dialogue is critical. And informed public-private sector dialogue is necessary. You may have discussions, but unless they're, as Dr. Vakar said, they're grounded in current reality, then they become meaningless. So we're honored to be working with SDPI, a known academia, a group of academics, to host this discussion today. This is the first of hopefully a series of discussions we're going to hold, but what we really look forward to is conclusions and recommendations that, as Dr. Vakar said, can be put together and put forth towards the policymakers who are at this time really looking forward to the input, because the intent is definitely there. What we have seen is, the focus of the government has been to reduce the trade deficit, and they've done that to a significant extent, 40%, but it's largely been due to reduction in our imports rather than a significant increase in the exports. So, while our demand has contracted so that imports since last year have gone down by at least 30%, exports have only increased by less than 3%, I would say. And that is symptomatic of the unsustainability of the current trend of reduction in trade deficit, because what we want is we would like to import more, provide the consumer benefit, consumers a greater benefit of greater variety and greater choices, but we'd like to have a trade deficit in control by exporting more, which generates more economic activity. And for that, the government definitely realizes that based on, their statements and based on the actions that they're taking. So we look forward to, at least what I look forward to is a discussion today that not only creates this awareness of the incentives that the government has already provided, but ideas as to how effective they can be and what else can be done to make those steps effective. Thank you, Dr. Vakar.
Thank you so much for these welcome remarks. I think I'll sort of just take lead from your last point and just stress on the fact that the spirit of public-private dialogue here is to really provide timely feedback to the government. And I was discussing with Iqbal Saab, and we have DG TDAP here as well. And we were just discussing that probably this is the right and opportune time to give it. You have a new tariff policy in the offing, trade policy is being chalked out, and we'd of course hear more on this by others. And probably any interventions at this stage could really go miles in sort of streamlining what needs to be done going forward. But also what you said about the current sort of changes in the current account, we just thought that maybe we could ground today's discussion in where the macroeconomy stands, and then probably bring the focus more on the export challenge, and then within the export challenge, what facilitation is available for the business community. So this is the macro framework as it stands today. We do understand that business community has a challenge. We are passing through a low growth equilibrium, accompanied of course with rising inflation. The investment to GDP ratio, of course, is also certainly constrained given not just the low domestic demand, but also a global slowdown in demand which is setting in. And in some countries, there are already alarm bells ringing on a recessionary trend. And some of these countries could be destinations where Pakistani goods arrive. Now, within the low growth requirement, the government has committed with the fund to have a more expanded tax effort. Now, that's of course another challenge. And let me just reiterate, it's not specific to Pakistan. There are many countries in the world which are passing through low growth phase at the moment and are expected to increase their tax revenues. But some bright spots are here. The July-September export figures do show an uptick. And as you can see in the final line, the net reserve with the central bank have started to again increase. And the trend, which is month on month, looks promising as well. Just to zoom into the export performance for July-September, while textile and leather remain under pressure, you have seen an uptick in food, sports, surgical, and engineering goods. Which is encouraging. Overall export growth, I think as Ms. Berkey also said, is not as much as one would like to see, but there is a 2.4% increase in the export performance going forward. Of course, there are varied reasons we can improve upon that. There is a devaluation effect as well, which is at play over here. We can discuss what further facilitation would be required in the coming months under a very constrained fund program as well. On the import side, almost all commodity groups have seen a decline. Most noticeable is in textile, transport, chemical, metals. Of course, we are joined here by the president of Islamabad Chamber. He was telling me the other day how their inputs are constrained. The production process, the intermediate inputs that go into the production process are sort of constrained due to the import compression, which we are currently seeing. So with this in mind, let me just sort of highlight that how did PRIEA and SDPI came up with the theme of this public-private dialogue. The request, it's a derived demand, so the request has actually come from the Ministry of Commerce. That's the process. So it is the Ministry of Commerce that has shown an urgency to discuss export exemption schemes, how they can further support the export-oriented sectors. There was a meeting at the Commerce Ministry 2 months back where and it was specific to textile but applies to other sectors as well, where the ministry was concerned that we are a country with one of the lowest man-made fiber-based exports among peers, with 14% content, with Vietnam at 28%, Cambodia again at 24%, you know. So how does one move towards more technology-embodied imports that can go into our exports? So, and one of the things which came up in this meeting was, and this is the Commerce Ministry which was asking the other stakeholders, if all the other things are constrained, we can't expand our tax expenditures. Under the fund program, you can't have a very expanded zero rating regime. Is it the reform of the export exemption schemes on the custom side which could help? And that became the motivation for this meeting and our request to FBR when we approached them to hold this meeting. One of the things that we saw at the meeting in the Commerce Ministry was, again, a very interesting research question, that why is the garment sector not interested in schemes other than duty drawback, for example? And do people actually know about it? Is access the issue? Is sort of, are the transactions cost high? So contrary to examples maybe in rest of the countries, one do see a higher reliance of the business community on duty drawback regime. So there would be much less firms who are licensed under DTRE, then lesser when it comes to manufacturing under bond. And then, of course, I think FBR today can give us a more updated picture on where we stand on EOS and temporary importation schemes. But the question which emerges from this slide is what needs to be done by both, not just the public sector, but also by the private sector for the uptake of these schemes. Possible reasons which were sort of discussed when SDPI was preparing for this meeting, the business community thought that maybe there was lack of awareness about alternate schemes other than duty drawback, the time to process applications, the transactions cost, the time lags and delays, the refund which is given as percentage of the duty paid may be less, and then there may be other factors as well. We are really pleased that the colleagues from FBR have circulated with you their new thinking in this brochure which is in front of you, how they are streamlining in the light of many of those inputs which were given by the business community. Some qualitative responses when we inquired from the business community also talked about the fact that while FBR is moving towards automation, but still there would be places where manual copies, manual documentations continue to exist. The audit could be made more risk-based so that reputed exporters don't have to wait. Their turnaround time could be expedited. There could be innovative mechanisms to track the intermediate inputs and raw materials in exported items, and in this regard, we do understand that there are examples in ASEAN countries which could be followed. So some further responses talked about easing the legal documentation. So the SRO around DTRE is, for example, 600 pages. And I do understand that our revenue authorities are mindful of this, but we believe that easing such documentation could go a long way in strengthening the trust between business community and the revenue authorities. The applicants continue to use consultants. While, of course, consultants and brokers here play a very important role, but as an independent think tank, our own evaluation is that their role in the supply chain requires careful evaluation. At some times, they become the gatekeepers and sort of the barrier to communication between FBR and business community at times comes through the use of these consultants. And then there were inputs such as how can we redefine the role of line ministries? So for example, for one of the exporting sectors, we have a dedicated ministry, which is Ministry of Textile. Is it that the business community may be more comfortable to talk or come via Ministry of Textile to avoid any technical communication barriers in accessing these export exemption schemes? That was also one of the responses that came up. Then there is the Auditor General of Pakistan report, which came up in February 2019. It pointed out several good recommendations, which include the need for timely revision of duty drawback SROs, need for regular review and determination of input-output ratios and wastages. Likewise, the determination of different ratios of wastage in respect of same goods could be reconsidered. The weight gains during sizing process, particularly in case of grey cloth manufacturing, could be more streamlined. Again, one of the reports that our researchers came up with, and it's worth citing in whatever future recommendations one puts on the table. We also see that in September 2019, which is recent, FBR has taken some measures, which we are going to just hear in a while, because FBR has come organized and they have a presentation of their own. The new chairman FBR announced an automated system which aims to decrease the lead time, and we believe that this is a very welcome sign. It comes on the recommendation, on the request of the business community. A helpline has already been announced, and this helpline is mentioned at the back of the brochures which FBR has just circulated with you. And then, of course, the chairman also hinted that there could be possibility to merge some of these schemes and make them comprehensive in case there is a consultation or appetite at the end of the business community. So just the last slide on our side, that we are entering into this discussion with 3 or 4 very concrete objectives. We'll start with the aim to learn from FBR regarding these initiatives. We will then invite the business community for their inputs and the feedback. And of course, followed by that, we have other government departments, we have regulators, SECPs here for their inputs as well. And then, of course, finally, if we have time at the end of the day, one would really like to consider how do we sort of take this forward in a manner that these recommendations from today's discussion not just remain limited to mere tinkering, if I can take liberty to sort of use that word, tinkering with the export exemption schemes, but also sort of how these schemes can become part of key instruments in the STPF, which is the Strategic Trade Policy Framework, the draft of industrial policies coming up, Planning Commission is coming up with the 12th five-year plan. So one would really like to see today's discussion feed into these policy documents, which the government is really taking very keenly. So with these very initial sort of I would say on the surface analysis by SDPI team, this is not even in depth. Let me confess that. We'll hand over to FBR now, and sir, maybe you can now take this forward.
Introduction मैंने अपना करवा दिया. मैं नाम मेरा इकबाल मुनीब है, चीफ एक्सपोर्ट्स हूँ मैं FBR में. मैं क्विकली कोई 12-15 मिनट में ये जो मेन कैरेक्टरिस्टिक्स हैं इसके रन कर देता हूँ. इसके बाद क्वेश्चन आंसर सेशन में मेरी ये ख्वाहिश होगी कि आपकी तरफ से जो भी सवाल वगैरह जवाब हैं उसमें मुझे कुछ समझ आ जाए कि हमें फर्दर क्या करना चाहिए. तो इसके इंट्रोडक्शन में एक तो मैंने ये जो अभी आपको ये डिस्ट्रीब्यूट किए हैं ब्रोशर्स, ये इंग्लिश में भी हैं, उर्दू में भी हैं. आप मुझसे मज़ीद भी ले सकते हैं, और ख़ास तौर पे जो आपने कुछ ऐसे रिप्रेजेंटेटिव हैं जो चेंबर्स ऑफ कॉमर्स से आए हैं या ट्रेड से आए हैं, वो मुझे अगर अपना ईमेल एड्रेस दे देते हैं तो मैं उनको जो इंग्लिश में तो है ही, वो तो वेबसाइट्स पे मिल जाता है, लेकिन कंसोलिडेटेड शक्ल में ये जो सारी स्कीमें हैं वो एक जगह पे हमने रखी हैं। इसके अलावा हमने कुछ पिछले चंद महीने में, it has taken me a couple of months getting this done, but we have translated all these notifications into Urdu. So it is available now with me. So if you want to have a copy, please give me your email address and I can share it with you. तो वो ये है कि आपको जो ख़ास तौर पे लीडर बैठे हैं वो उर्दू वाला जो मीडियम और स्मॉल एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं उनके साथ शेयर कर सकते हैं ताकि उनको वो अंडरस्टैंडिंग में आसानी हो। इसके अलावा मेरी ये ख्वाहिश होगी कि अगर वो जो सब्सटेंशियल कोई ऐसी बातें पता चल जाएं तो पर जॉट इट डाउन और नेक्स्ट जो राउंड है इनको रीअलाइन करने का वो हम कर सकें। चौथी बात ये कि हमने we have made a lot of efforts in automating all those schemes, and now mostly all the business processes are now automated. But then doing this, we realized that there are certain business processes which needs to be rethought. तो उसमें अगर आपके कोई फीडबैक हो कि हमें जो प्रैक्टिकल डिफ़िकल्टीज़ आ रही हैं कि ये बिज़नेस प्रोसेस इस तरह से है तो हमें उसमें मुश्किल पेश आ रही। टाइम की अभी इन्होंने बात की है। बिफोर दिस ऑटोमेशन it was difficult to track down what has happened and why, and who has taken how much time and why. For example, if application is filed to us and then application is incomplete, it is on us. And nobody knows that we have asked you to resubmit certain documents which have not been submitted. But then it causes delays. The machine doesn't understand these things. If application is incomplete, it will not accept. So अब उसको track करना थोड़ा सा आसान हो गया, लेकिन वो saying this is easy, doing is like it takes a lot of time. तो उसमें जो कोई automation है ख़ास तौर पे हमारा emphasis ये है कि हम इसको बहुत आसान बना सकते हैं. So now we claim that we have almost 100% automated these processes, and if now there are any problems, I'll be actually very happy to discuss. I will run through these things very quickly, and the rest of the things will be taken on during the question answer. Basically, we have 5 export facilitation schemes, as most of you already know: manufacturing bonds, export-oriented units, duty and tax remission for export schemes, temporary importation schemes, and export processing zones. I will take these one by one and give a very short introduction and then give certain salient features so we know why manufacturing bond is different, how it is different, and which type of exporter or manufacturer or commercial exporter can take benefit. You already know that these schemes are so that you don't have to put up a lot of duties and taxes initially. So we have done this. Benefits are already manufacturing bond schemes. This is for the manufacturers only. The license is required, and analysis certificate is required. I will explain it how we have done it now, and then it explains the mechanism and the documents required to file an application. The only thing is that you have to achieve certain level of export. For example, if you can achieve up to 60% of your exports, you can avail this exemption. All inputs are duty free, and further up to 40% of your finished goods you can sell it in the local market as well. Export-oriented scheme. This is probably the most frequently used scheme by the manufacturers. Again, inputs are duty-free, but here the difference between manufacturing bond and export-oriented unit scheme basically is that machinery and equipment is also allowed duty free. In manufacturing bond scheme, machinery is not allowed duty free. And you can see that very recently we have also allowed coal and diesel and gas and furnace oil and coke of coal and carbon blocks, which are manufactured, which are used as inputs. They are also been allowed duty free. Exports can engage the services of vendors, you already know. And then very recently we have also allowed that these different manufacturers, they can actually take advantage of supplying goods to each other, and that will be because that inputs and outputs will be available on the machines, so there will be no problems keeping the paper trail. For example, if a manufacturing bond has imported a huge quantity of something and the export orders are not available, he can actually then send it to other export-oriented units, duty tax remission schemes, export processing zones, so it becomes more helpful. And other facilitation here is initially the thought was that all outputs would be exported, but now we have said that up to 20% of your finished goods can be disposed of in the local market. Yeah, of course. DTRE, this scheme is slightly different from other schemes, is that in spite of the fact that the manufacturers can take benefit of it, but commercial exporters, vendors, and those exporters who have a small order, they cannot export all their production 40%, 60%, 90%, even if they have an order and their output only 10% of their output is to be exported, they can avail this benefit. That can be on contract based, on profile based, on their previous performance based. Temporary import scheme. This is probably the simplest of the schemes. The importer files a goods declaration claiming that he wants to export these things, and these primarily are meant for accessories, buttons, zippers, things like that. And then at the time of export, he has to refer to the goods declaration of import and this SRO number, and quota debiting is available in the machine. All these processes have already been automated. Export processing zone, these are established with the objective of boosting industrialization and augmenting countries' exports, of creating facilities for investors, and you already know this. All types of goods, including machinery and equipment and materials, can be imported duty and tax free, and local sales of up to 20% is also allowed. Now, as I already said, certain beneficiaries of other schemes can actually export to export processing zone that will be deemed as exported. I will quickly run through these salient features. Some of them have been very recently introduced. Conditions I have already told you. In the manufacturing bond scheme, while applying for the license, these are the requirements, and there are no guarantees. There is some a misconception or something. I don't know how it has come, but there are no bonds or insurance guarantees or pay orders, nothing. These are the documents which are required, which is banker certificates and previous year's financial statements. And of course, the application would say that, applicant would say that here I am located, this is my premises, and these are the things which I intend to import. Intend to import means the PCTs. the HS codes and the HS codes of the outputs, and then how the ratio is determined. Security, the only security which is tiny amount relates to establishment charges which has to pay upfront. The rest is when the goods are imported. Again, that security is not bank guarantee. That security is in indemnity bond with the post-dated check. So it also costs almost nothing. I will slightly touch upon the audits. Now, the trade has taken it up very frequently with us that the audits take a lot of time and it's costly. But from our perspective, if we try to understand, if everything is available on the machine, why we need audits then? If I know that you have this much inputs and this much has been already exported, and this is the balance which is available with you. So in real times, I know everything. In real time, you already know everything. So anybody walks in that, okay, this is the inventory available, this is all audited. So it is actually then online audit is available. Anybody wants to check it, but then there are certain problems with this. People are not coming. For example, local procurement, they are not being filed on the machines. So a few data elements are missing. When we capture those data elements, I don't think that we will be indulging into these type of yearly audits of frequently transaction based. They will not be required. I have already explained. Local sale of a bureau. Utilization period is 2 years, but now we have said that if chief collector, who is a local senior officer, so if you run into any problems, you don't have to come to anybody, Islamabad, anybody. There is one regulator at every collectorate. He is supposed to resolve all problems. And if you run into any problems in all those export promotion schemes, we have mandated that the chief collector would be responsible for these little problems, including these extensions and everything. Now, one thing, analysis certificate. Analysis certificate means inputs, what is which you intend to import, how that will be processed, and what will be exported. So the quantities of input going into one item which is to be exported, so that analysis certificates becomes an engine and it remains available on the machine. So while filing the goods declaration for export, you have to refer to the analysis certificate number and your import goods declaration number. The machine runs itself, and all this quota debiting and quota credited is available on the machine, and it is auto run. Wastages are determined in the analysis certificate. You have to pay sales tax and federal excise duty on the wastages. This I already explained that export-oriented units are all similar to this, except that machinery is also allowed. But in here, because on the machinery and equipment and a lot of other things, assemblies, we have not taken the customs duty and regulatory duty and everything. So what we need is an insurance guarantee. So insurance guarantee has to be filed while submitting an application for export-oriented units only. While at the import stage, only indemnity bond and post-dated check is required. In the same way, it's not actually, the audits are not based on individual transactions. Usually, what we do is by the end of a financial year, and especially when we are renewing the license, we are conducting an audit that what has been, or the liabilities, if there are any outstanding. are recovered so that the license is reviewed. It's not very frequent, maybe once a year, and very frequently, maybe after a couple of years. This I have already explained, most of these things, duty and tax. So, and here the difference is that this is, you don't need to be a manufacturer. Any person who is registered with FBR, if he has a firm contract, he can come to us with the documents and he can get a DTRE approval. Here the analysis certificate is not required. This is quantity based, that I have a contract where I need these many inputs, and from these inputs I will make these many outputs. So input in terms of quantity, quota is allowed, remains available on the system, and at every export goods declaration, that machine keeps on debiting, and by the end, when all goods have been exported according to this quota, the message is then sent to the security officer that all those inputs have already been exported. The security may be released. Now, recently, as I have said, that inputs can be given to other persons who are availing the exemption, different exemption schemes. The finished goods can be sent to export processing zones. This is probably the simplest and most often used. The bank guarantee in here, no approvals are actually required. You just file a goods declaration at the import stage and claim this SRO, and then submit this bank guarantee or pay order, or depending on the nature of the profile of the business, and it is allowed. And when the goods are exported, both these, in import goods declaration and export, both these are available on the machine. So when the goods are exported, the message is sent to the assistant or deputy collector that you may approve the release of the security, and if there are no problems, it is approved. Most of the things have already explained. Export processing zones. Now we have a number of export processing zones, and we have certain problems with it. This is the scheme which we were excited when we introduced it, but this is not very frequently used. Maybe the reason is that people feel comfortable in availing the benefits of with other schemes. The investors here a lot of advantages, like they can import machinery, equipment, and everything. The regulation from the state bank are not available. They don't have to file I-forms. They don't have to file E-forms. And the regulations by the state bank, they are this export processing zone is considered as a separate country for all practical purposes. So as if that we are sending something from the tariff area to export processing zone, as if we are sending to another country. So most of Pakistan's regulations are not applicable on export processing zones. So no securities and nothing. Recently means it is about a year now, we have done the automation and now all the transaction processing, most of the transaction processing from the export processing zone going into export processing zone, coming from export processing zone to the tariff area, and goods from export processing zone to abroad, and then import into export processing zone. All those transactions have been automated.
Thank you, sir. I think, as I had anticipated or given a taste of it, these are technical things. And it's important to go into these details. And probably due to the technicality involved and maybe due to the way the schemes were introduced at the very start, like you said, the motivation may have been different and their use may have changed later on. There may be some variance in how the government now thinks about these schemes and how the business community thinks. So I'm really glad that you have opened the black box around these 3 or 4 exemption schemes that are on the table, and the fact that FBR is really open to sort of taking forward the agenda around automation and simplicity, as well as the reform around audit. But maybe just before I go to other members in the House, it's just important to stress over here that when we discuss in today's meeting, we are discussing a very focused point, which is around how we enable you to import at world competitive prices. That's the idea behind the export exemption schemes on the customs side. So this meeting is not about the refunds on the sales tax side. It is not about any other issue which sort of pertains to. I'm sure there would be a host of issues which the exporters confront, but we are totally focused on how we can facilitate the import of intermediate inputs, intermediate goods that go into your production process. So just to open up the discussion, we have 2 chamber presidents here. We have Aptama here, and we have Rehan Saab from Faisalabad Garment City. So while I think we can go around the table, but maybe just in terms of sequencing, we could pick up certain inputs from the business community, and then probably allow chance to the FBR, but also other government departments who are around the table, including Ministry of Commerce, PDAP, and others who would like to come in with their inputs as well. So, Rehan Saab, can I request you probably to start? I do understand that Faisalabad Garment City has submitted formal recommendations as well, but it would really be helpful to hear where we are coming from.
Thank you very much, Dr. Vakar. I'm Rehan Naseem Barada, Chairman, Faisalabad Garment City, and this is my most favorite subject because we are into an indenting of the different items importing for our exporters to re-export. And there are a lot of question raises there. Actually, you yourself, sir, inform yourself that on paper it's called very easy, but in practical it's not as easy as it's becoming on the papers. There are 2-3 questions normally our exporter are using most of the time, SRO 450 and 327 under bond, and that is facility only given to manufacturer come exporters. Unfortunately, still we are unable to assess who is a manufacturer come exporter. Whenever we apply, like if a composite unit or a unit which have only processing or which have only weaving unit, or they have only stitching machines, so they all comes in manufacturer come exporter side. And in Pakistan, I think, if I'm not wrong, please correct me, I think there is no more commercial exporter right now because the issues regarding the taxes policies given by FBR, the commercial exporter can't even export and get the refunds in the last regime. So I think now everybody is manufacturer come exporter. But these facilities, when we go to apply, composite unit can get very easily. Second option is the processing. I'm talking about textiles because I belong to textile city. And third option is
weaving. And if somebody have 100 or 500 or 300 stitching machines, he is not trustworthy for the custom people to give him this facility. So my question again, what we can do for those people who have got registered as a manufacturer come exporter, but not getting that facility because they have only stitching machines, number one. Number two, you told about EPZ. Like there is only in export processing zones, I think you have people given only one time relaxation to import machinery because there is still a confusion in that. Why? Because you yourself said that people are not using the EPZ facility. So this is the misconception, I think, because what we feel that it's the only one time exemption to import the machinery. So this is my second question. And regarding audits, yeah, very important. I know that you have concentrate of the people you have because the audits comes very late. आपके पास प्रॉब्लम है लोगों की जिन्होंने ऑडिट करना है. So this how we can exporters can manage the things, because what happened is if my license is going to expire and after a few days it's not going under renewal till the time the audit done. Unfortunately, it takes sometimes 3 to 4 months, and that can hurt our exports. So this is a very serious point for the exporters regarding the audits, because the renewal come like if their goods are arrived at the port and their certificate is going to expire or maybe expired and the ship arrived late a week. So this is a big hurdle for them. So these are only few points I want to share with you. Thank you very much, Dr. Vakar, for giving the time.
Thank you, Rehan Saab. And we did read your inputs today in the Tribune, Express Tribune, and I think your point on moving towards the increased technology embodiment is well taken as well. Just wanted to sound off to the audience. And of course, that's the pursuit that we need to move towards product sophistication as well. So we have the Islamabad Chamber with us. We have the President Mohammed Ahmed Saab, but we also have Naeem Siddiqui Saab over here as well. Maybe I could start with President Saab first for his inputs.
Say thank you formally for giving me a time and expressing my views here. I just wanted to change a little bit of the mode of this conversation, a little more casual. So we tend to express our heart feelings more openly, because the motive and the stance why we are here is to get something out of this meeting today. Sir, what is the main purpose which I got to know, which I understood by having the presence of the FBR, by all the departments which are somehow related to not mainly related to the business and exports. The first ultimate goal is that we have to increase the exports of Pakistan. Regardless the point, it is manufacturing bond facility, it is EPZ, it is whatsoever facilitations. The ultimate should be the very first goal that we have to achieve is how to increase and escalate the exports of Pakistan right this point in time when Pakistan is striving for survival of the economy. So we have, I myself is industrialist. I belong to steel pipe manufacturing, which is the second biggest steel pipe producer right now at this point in time. I'll be covering 2-3 issues on a broader spectrum, then I'll come to precisely on the metal industry. So, I personally feel these export-orientated units which you have given, they are limited to one segment of the Pakistan. If I talk, export-orientated units are situated mainly and primarily in Sialkot. What are the problems? What is my destiny being situated in Pakistan or Rawalpindi? Why I can't be considered as export-orientated units? I'll drop down. I'll come to the nitty-gritty why I'm saying it. So the very first incentives, look, how much is the data, how much is the export you're going to generate from one city. We are, whenever the export words comes up, we, the very first city which comes to our head is Sialkot. I wholeheartedly again say this, that we are surviving only and only basis of the exports, which are hugely, the numbers are huge from export, being the only city. But how we are going to escalate the exports when sitting in Islamabad or Lahore or Faisalabad, export-oriented units are not facilitated? Why? I'll explain it to you. So the incentives, because the incentives which you given to them, I was surprised I wasn't aware of these things, that now you have given the incentives on the basic, instead of the raw material, you are giving the incentives on the basic necessity, the fuel, the electricity, the diesel, the whatsoever, the minute things which they import, they are not even accounted for. So first of all, how I'm going to compete with those products within the premises of Pakistan, within the country? I'm not going to compete that product. Then how I'm going to approach my exporters? So very first thing, we have to see how we can do it. Okay, coming over to second thing. So what about those? You have, I have seen your presentation. Export-orientated units is fine, but now coming over to manufacturing bond. So manufacturing bond is a facility. In your, law, in your SRO, it clearly defines that the manufacturing bond, machinery, and the company, the firm who has the manufacturing bond facility, it has to be premises has to be separated and segmented from the local manufacturing machinery. So you tell me, in this economic situation, we are going through one of the toughest economic situation in the history of Pakistan. You want me to segregate one of my unit. So my one unit which is locally producing the product which is locally I'm producing for the local market, that has to be segregated from the manufacturing bond facility. So it covers my raw material which comes. So very first it covers my machinery. So the machinery is the huge capex which involves. So that has to be segregated. Then the raw material which comes, it has to be segregated. The value-added product which I make has to be segregated. How I am going to survive in this situation? Sir, unfortunate of the system is that the current devaluation which happened in the currency of Pakistan, we were expecting that the export, actually it will go beyond the means. We will be seeing exporters in our dreams as well. But that unfortunate could not happen. Why? Because we became the cost effective. Then with due respect, I wanted to discuss this. The refunds and the sale tax. Okay, I won't go into it because they are the main key dependent. You obviously you are aware of it. So let me not go into those details. I'll come, if you allow me, then I'll speak, because these are the key dependents. Okay, now sir, coming over to this one thing. What is now in this point in time? If I have to get the certification, first of all, I would be more than happy to see the EDB, Engineering Development Board representative should be here, because that is the forum which has to give us the analysis certificate. Sir, your analysis certificates are not been set properly. If I'm exporting on the temporary license of analysis certification. I have the temporary, available thing, allowment, and where I can export. Whatsoever, I don't have any details in comparison to the company, which is the difference between the private limited company and the corporate public limited company. First of all, you create it is such a big issue for both of the companies which belongs to Pakistan to export. How your policies are more tilted towards corporate entities. When I say corporate entities, I'm openly speaking right now, sir. You are more tilted towards public limited companies. How I'm going to compete a public limited company when you have given extraordinary SROs, extraordinary incentives, and when a private limited company goes, we are not being entertained. Why? Then again, so special economic zones we have, under the condition of the CPEC, under the, this have been brought up. So you basically want me to shift my company, which is a 45 years old company from Islamabad. I'm born and bred in Islamabad. I'm immune to this society, immune to the people of, this culturism. So just in order to entertain the government and to increase the export, you want me to shift my whole premises from Islamabad and go to export oriented units, to special economic zones? Why? My humble suggestion, which please do account for, and not just only on a permanent basis, but on a temporary basis, unless we come out of this verge. Do consider those units, make it somehow a bracket, which a company which falls under this, LTUs or last expired units, they should be entitled to it. If company situated Lahore, anywhere, wherever, so foreign, give them certification, whatever they need. You cannot increase the export from one segment, regardless. Sports, textile has been hurt badly. I've been hearing the reviews from the gentleman from this weaving from Faisalabad. What is their issue? Please do consider it. And I forget about me, as a person now, any ordinary person who wants to export, he cannot export because your documentations do take time. First, he has to think about getting the certification of the DTRE. Okay, beside the point of now, one thing I clearly say in front of this whole house, I am the steel pipe producer, sir, and because of the conditions, economic conditions, we cannot export it. My existing orders are going beyond, out of my hands. You allow me, the end product is the pipes, but there is a demand of semi-finished product, which comes in, before my final valuated product. I have a huge demand of it. That gives you generation, that brings you dollar into the country, that fulfills the need of the export. Please do consider it. Anybody who walks into your office needs this sort of a favor. Entertain them, and somehow we can increase this. Sir, again, one last before I'll hand it over again. Sir, one major issue which you are facing, the exporters. So exporters are mainly exporters going to Afghanistan. And now the Afghanis importers, the customers, they are feeling hell of a difficult. It is hell of a difficult issue for them to transfer money from their national bank to our bank. There is no whatsoever challenge. Okay, now what they do? Say either Afghani sitting here, somebody sitting in America, Dubai. So they tend to transfer, before they tend to transfer us the payment from those countries. But now your conditions, which they say, where the originated company, where the money has come from, the export should go particularly to that country. It has even made us more difficult. Now what they do? Out of those things, only few one is they prefer to come with a bag full of dollars. A bag full of $1, and before they come to Islamabad, they go to Peshawar, and the banks entertain them. Out of, I don't know how many banks we have, out of so many banks, only few banks are entertaining. So it is again a risky factor for them to travel dollars in the bags and coming to the exports. So do look upon this. Later on, I'll be discussing few more. Thank you.
Thank you so much for these inputs, and I'm glad that there were inputs from other sectors as well. You talked of Sialkot, so I'd just like to welcome Amir Mahmood Saab and Waqas Raza Saab, who are actually representing the Surgical Instruments Manufacturers Association, or we will of course hear their inputs as well.
हमने सिस्टम सर इस साल से तब्दील कर दिया. आपको हर ट्रांजैक्शन पे you don't have to go to the engineering development board. It is the regulatory authority only, and in regulatory authority what we have done during this budget, we have curtailed the powers. Now the tiers are up to additional collector, which is a mid-level officer, not the collector. So this has become quick, the processing. One. Now all transactions don't have to go to the engineering development board or input output coefficient organization. The regulator has to see that this type of transaction already available. We know the inputs, we know the outputs, we know the wastages. We don't have to send it to the engineering development, and then it is approved. So you see, if 100 transactions, they are similar in nature, already approved. The previously it was because of the paper trail, it was difficult for us to monitor. Now everything is on the machine and we are monitoring it, and there are, mind you, no delays at all, because now I can see who is doing what. And if, for example, if it takes more than say 15 days, it is the 16th day, it pops up on a regulator screen what's going on. Previously, it was not. So this EDB is not an issue now. But if there are certain type of transactions where they are feeling difficulty and not, what we have done is, even if engineering development board is not doing something, we have made this available on the machine. You file an application. If we have to send it to the EDB, that provisional what you have calculated is allowed. So the machine starts running. You're allowed. And when EDB sends their analysis, then those will be further realigned. But imports and exports will not be affected. So there's no time wastage of time. In the same way, the DTRE approval, it's now, because it's very recent phenomena, application is online now. So you yourself can monitor if application is properly filed. If it's incomplete, it will not be filed. If it's filed, you can monitor what has happened. And if there are delays, you can come straight to me that this is what they have done. And mind you, they will not be able to do it again because it's available on the machines. The manufacturing bond, you have to separate your local things, and the problem is if you have to pitch yourself where you belong. You need DTRE, then you don't have targets. If you can export up to 60-70% of your production, then manufacturing bond suits you. If all of your production is going abroad, then export-oriented unit supports it. And mind you, export-oriented units are mainly Karachi phenomena. The huge. So
why not Islamabad?
Islamabad. The machine doesn't understand where the location is.
Before Naeem Saab speaks, it's just important to mention, Ahmed Saab, jo baat aapne kahi, कि we are actually mindful that these export exemption schemes should not just respond to current exporters, but potential exporters as well, because we want more exporters to that. So in that regard, Naeem Saab also represents the IT sector and ICT services sector as well. Sir, please.
Thank you very much, Dr. Waqar Saab. हंसते फिरते हैं सरे बज़्म अना की खातिर, वरना हालात तो ऐसे हैं कि रोया जाए. Sir, if we divide Pakistan from independence till today into different eras, one before 1990, another after 1990, you will see a significant difference in decline of technology in all respects, and decline in our capabilities which we used to have. There was a time when we were giving advices to all our peer countries like Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Singapore. And the people used to come to us, particularly for the banking sectors. We have our experts, and we did such a marvelous things in the country like WAPDA and like other big ventures we did. Then all our best technicians were hired by the World Bank and the institutions. So here point is this, that we all the time, I have lived in Japan for 14 years, and after seeing my experience of Japan, I didn't see any special economic zone there. The whole Japan is a special economic zone. Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to do, it is one, environment based. Which environment is good for which industry? They do it. Which climate is good for which industry? They do it. Where the manufacturing strength is good for certain industry, they do it. For example, Toyota is manufactured somewhere near Nagoya. There is a city by the name of Toyota. But the parts of the Toyota is being manufactured in the whole country. Even they are being manufactured in Hokkaido, where the temperature goes to -30. And even they are being manufactured in the southern part, like Osaka and like Nagoya and like other cities. What is wrong with us? We don't have to compare ourselves with our country, industry, and the people. We should compete with our peer countries. What went wrong? Why we are declining? If you just compare 2003 and 2019, we were $7.5 billion in export. Bangladesh was $6 billion, and the Vietnam was 8.5. Where they are today, and we are just running, and we are just discussing, we are just scrolling out the SROs, FPR. Whatever you have written on the piece of paper, it's very simple. It's very simple. You read a book, and every day in the morning you see the very good sayings are coming on your mobile. It is not that we are all acting upon them. We need to see what is the practical reality. I have been exporter of carpets for 12 years, from 1978 to 1992. And also, I have been one of the largest exporters of IT, being the biggest distributor of Hewlett-Packard in Pakistan. I know what are the problems. There are hundreds and thousands of the problems. Whatever you see in the presentation is absolutely contrary to the fact. Why you don't let the whole Pakistan as an export city, as an export country, like the president said, why I am being deprived of my rights to do the best of my capacity and to export from Islamabad, and why a person is giving privilege when he is in Karachi or somewhere else? Because my cost of export is higher than anybody who is in the southern part of the country because of the transportation. In the world today, you see the CPEC? What is the main purpose of developing a CPEC for China? Is this to reduce the cost of communication, transportation. Today, the biggest cost of your business is the transportation. If we just do the business with our peer countries within our region, with having a population of more than 4 billion people, we can save much more money. So I will request that please reduce the SROs. Let us make this Pakistan only dollar and dollar earning countries. We have plenty of note printing machine in this country by the State Bank of Pakistan. We can print notes every day in billions and billions. But that is not the solution. We have only one solution. That is to how we can earn dollars. And for that, allow everybody to do whatever he wants to do to export, to make competitive and qualitative products in the world. So this is very important. I don't want to go into the details because we don't have much time, but I will only request, there's one point I will ask to check with the State Bank as well. We are facing difficulties nowadays in one thing, build to and ship to. Before, sometime you used to ship the goods to a certain country and bill to their bank in the different countries. But now they are saying that whatever you will export, you will have to get the proceeds from there, and this is very difficult. Before, the bank was negotiating on the behalf of the company and used to make the payment to the Singapore, and you can send the goods anywhere in the world. So that is also because we are heading towards the documentation of economy, and with the FATF, there are a lot of problems are coming on the way. So I will request to the FBR and also the State Bank of Pakistan to look after the interest of the exporters, because that is only survival for us. Thank you very much.
थैंक यू नईम साहब मैं सिर्फ आपके सेक्टर पे एक एडवोकेसी जो है वो मैं आपकी मदद कर देता हूँ सो वेयर आई थिंक योर सेक्टर नीड्स help and facilitation, and we heard this from the Pasha Software Association as well, is that the government is now coming up with a policy to manufacture mobile phones in Pakistan. और उसके लिए जो इनपुट्स दरकार होंगी पाकिस्तानी मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को उस पे कॉमर्स मिनिस्ट्री इज़ वेरी कीन कि FBR should look into the application of these schemes to IT and IT product manufacturing in Pakistan. So that's something जो कि probably we can send as written input to FBR as well. So we could move to other inputs as well. So maybe we have surgical as well, and we have our sir, please.
Thank you, Dr. Wakad. My name is Rizwan. I represent ICI Pakistan Limited, specifically the polyester fiber business. Thank you very much for your inputs, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see the man-made fiber exports is a cause of concern for the government. I would share that concern coming from the fiber industry. We have recently, 2 years ago, started to export fiber out of Pakistan into the US and Turkish market. This is a very unique venture that we started getting into value-added products, very new variants. But suddenly we were hit by the difficulty of the DTRE process. And I think about 8 months ago, we submitted our recommendation on the request of the Commerce Advisor, Mr. Razak Daud. They went to FBR. FBR acknowledged the recommendations. We had multiple meetings. It was all agreed that these recommendations should be implemented. 8 months, the only thing that's been implemented is, putting your documents on the automatic, on the online system. There are practical hurdles, and I'm sure FBR is aware of it, that now that I learned that you need to be 60% or more export-oriented to benefit from the manufacturing bond. For encouraging small exporter, when I begin to export, if I am going to have so many restrictions, I would never arrive 60%. I do not set up my industry today as a 60% export oriented. I start from local sales and then I try to grow into export. So we have grown 5%, 10%. We want to grow. Fixed contract is a hurdle. It's a company which is 75 years old in the country, ICI. Our credibility, our contribution to economy is, evident to everyone. Every single document need to be presented, every single contract. So you can explain to me that today, if I want to get into a contract for export, how can I lock in my customers? How can I lock in my suppliers on the prices today for the whole year? It's non-practical. So tomorrow, if the prices drop, I cannot change my supplier. Tomorrow, if I find new customers, I cannot change my application that I previously have. So there are practical hurdles. I think there's clear consensus that these things can change, but I don't know how and when that will happen. So that's one, because we can only get into DTRE scheme starting off with small exports. Second is, if you want to grow the man-made fiber consumption in the domestic market and also in the export market, the standard commodity products are already there. So you cannot grow significantly in those in domestic as well as export. We are in the production of very highly value-added products for which we import master batch or the ingredients from Europe or US. The duties on that is 22 plus 5, 27, overall 32% you pay to import that if you want to use in the domestic industry. If you want to give it to your local customer to export that in the value-added product form. So when you pay 30%, you immediately become less competitive, and your customers become less competitive because they cannot use this product to export. We can buy it under DTRE, we can export it without duty, which is zero duty. So we save 32%, but we are giving it to the export market. So we're actually helping the market in the US and the Turkey to buy duty-free product from me, which I cannot sell to my domestic customer who eventually can export it. So I think there is a need maybe on a case-to-case basis where you can look, there are certain raw materials which are not available in the domestic market. Some of them are maybe global 3 players. So how do you, make it feasible for someone that unique to operate and to supply these products in the domestic downstream so that they can take it to their export end customers and add a lot of value to it? So I think there is something, if you can address that or you can help me understand. So these are just 2 issues I want to touch upon. There are many other things, but I think for the benefit of the, rest of the people, I'll just stop at this. Thank you.
So maybe Amir Mahmood Saab, sir.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you, Dr. Wakar. I am from Sialkot ji. I am representing SIMAP here, Surgical Instruments Manufacturer of Pakistan. I am here. I am Senior Vice Chairman over there, and we have above than 4,200 members here, there, and our surgical export is around 358 US dollar million US dollars. And میں یہاں پہ آنے کا جیسا کہ اسلام آباد چیمبر آف کامرس سے انہوں نے کویشچن کیا, اس حوالے سے اگر اس کو میں آگے بڑھاؤں تو ہمارا بھی سیم ہی پرابلمس ہیں وہاں پہ. بیکاز ان سیالکوٹ دیر از آلموسٹ کاٹیج انڈسٹری relating to our surgical sector, and there are I have some questions to give. جیسا کہ اپنا ایف بی آر کے جو یہاں پہ چیف بیٹھے ہیں, انہوں نے فرمایا کہ ہمارے ای پی زیڈ کے حوالے سے جو انہوں نے ایگزمپشن اسکیم جو متعارف کروائی ہے, وہ میں سمجھتا ہوں کہ وہ مینوفیکچرنگ بانڈ اسکیم جو ہے وہ از فار لارج اسکیل مینوفیکچررز, اینڈ وی ہیو 90% to 95% کاٹیج انڈسٹری اوور دیئر. So my suggestion is to declare whole surgical industry as EPZ. یعنی کہ اگر ان کی جو اسکیمز ہیں ان تک پہنچنے کے لیے ڈیفینیٹلی وہ جو لارج اسکیل پہ مینوفیکچرر ہے وہی پہنچ سکے گا. جو کاٹیج انڈسٹری ہے, اسمال انڈسٹری ہے ہماری, اس کو بینیفٹ تو تب پہنچے گا کہ اگر ہمارے پوری سیالکوٹ کی سرجیکل انڈسٹری کو آپ ڈکلیئر ایز اے ای پی زی, جہاں جس طرح کے وہاں پہ فیسیلیٹیشنز ہیں. اس کے بعد ہمیں جو آج کل سرجیکل انڈسٹری کو ایک نائٹ میئر ہم لوگ اس کو کہہ لیں گے ان شیپ آف MDR, which is applicable, which will be applicable from May 2020. اس کے بارے میں ہمارے پاس ایون کہ ہمارے پاکستان میں ابھی تک
ذرا بتا دیں کہ
MDR means میڈیکل ڈیوائس رولس, یعنی کہ جو پہلے سی مارکنگ ہم لوگ سرجیکل انسٹرومنٹس پہ فکس کر کے بھجواتے تھے, وہ ہم لوگ سیلف ڈیکلریشن پہ بھجواتے تھے, جو یورپین کنفرمیٹی کو ڈیکلریشن ادھر ہوتی تھی. لیکن ابھی جو MDR آ رہا ہے ان کو انہوں نے 2017 جو ہے اٹ از امپلیمنٹڈ بائی 2020. اس حوالے سے نو ڈاؤٹ کہ سیالکوٹ کی جو سرجیکل انڈسٹری ہے جو نظر آ رہا ہے وہ یہی ہے کہ وہ اس کافی ساری پرابلم میں آ جائے گی ریگارڈنگ کہ اس کی سرٹیفکیشنس کے لیے وہ 10 لاکھ نہیں چاہیے, 1 ملین سے کام نہیں چلے گا, 2 ملین سے کام نہیں چلے گا. وہ منیمم جو کنسلٹنٹس ہیں وہ آلموسٹ 20 ملین ابو دین 20 ملینس جو ہے وہ اس کی جو ہے وہ کاسٹ بتا رہے ہیں, بیکاز کہ دیر از نو سرٹیفائنگ ایجنسی ان پاکستان, دیر از نو لیب ان پاکستان وچ approves our raw materials, our surgical instruments. اور ستم ظریفی یہ ہے کہ انڈیا ہمارے انسٹرومنٹس جو ہیں وہ لیب کے لیے وہ منیمم جو کرائٹیریا انہوں نے بتایا وہ انڈیا کا ہے, یعنی کہ انڈینز لیب جو ہیں وہ اب ہمارے انسٹرومنٹس کو ہمارے کرائٹیریا کو اپروو کریں گے. اب وہاں پہ بھیجنے کے لیے وہ ابھی تک وہ اپریل 2020 سے پہلے کوئی لیب ہمیں ٹائم نہیں دے رہی. تو میری ریکویسٹ آنریبل جو چیف آف ایکسپورٹ بیٹھے ہیں کہ گورنمنٹ کو یہ ہے کہ کائنڈلی اس کے بارے میں ہمارے لیے کچھ رائے حل نکالیں کہ کوئی اس کو سبسیڈائز اس قسم کا کیا جائے کہ جو ٹھیک ہے جو بڑے مینوفیکچرز ہیں یا بڑے ایکسپورٹرز ہیں وہ تو اس کو مینیج کرنا شروع کر دیے, بزنس تو بچانا ہے نا جی. لیکن اگر جو چھوٹا ایکسپورٹر ہے جس کے ساتھ جو مین جو ہے وہ کی رول ہے ان کا ہماری ایکسپورٹ میں, ان کے لیے کائنڈلی اس کو دیکھا جائے. اور دوسرا جو میں نے ریکویسٹ کی ہے کہ سبسڈ وہ جو ہے ای پی زیڈ والی جو فیسلٹیز ہیں وہ اگر ڈکلیئر کر دی جائے ٹوٹل سرجیکل انڈسٹری کے لیے وچ از آلریڈی ڈکلیئرڈ ایز اے کاٹیج انڈسٹری, تو وہ مچ ہیلپ فل ہوگا. تھینک یو جی.
Besides, I'm chairman of Arzu Textile Mills in Faisalabad. I've heard all the honorable speakers. I was really impressed that they put their point in a very positive and right manner. میرا صرف جو point cover نہیں ہوئے, I'll only talk about that. And that is concerning, unfortunately, about FPR. I have a lot of regards and respects for Chief Customs or Chief Exports, FPR. انہوں نے کافی اچھی ڈیمونسٹریشنز دیں آن پیپر. اینڈ میرا سب سے پہلے کویشچن یہ ہے کہ اگر ایف بی آر سکسیزفل ہوتا تو کیا پاکستان میں صرف 96 یونٹس رجسٹر ہوتے ڈی ٹی آر ای میں, اینڈ اونلی اباؤٹ 50 یونٹس ان پاکستان انڈر بانڈ 450. دیر از سم تھنگ رانگ سم ویئر سر. میں اس کی ایک بات اور بھی بتا دیتا ہوں آٹومیشن کی, کہ ہمیں جولائی سے بتایا گیا کہ جی زیرو ریٹنگ ختم ہو گئی ہے, automation is in place and all your refunds will be paid in 72 hours. یہ پوائنٹ نہیں ہے سبجیکٹ آف دی ٹوڈے, لیکن میں آٹومیشن کے ریفرنس سے بات کر. سر جولائی گزر گیا 30 days جو 72 hours میں ہونا تھا, اگست گزر گیا, سپٹمبر گزر گیا, اکتوبر گزر گیا, and we are in mid of November and still nobody has been paid. All the working capital of all the exporters now is tied up with the FBR. کیونکہ یہ جو سیلس ٹیکس 17-18% اور کمپوزٹ ملائیں تو it becomes about 20%. 5 مہینوں میں وہ 100% ہو جاتا ہے. تو آپ کی 100% اکوٹی جو ہے that has gone to FBR. ایکسپورٹر کہاں سے ایکسپورٹ کرے گا if he has no money؟ وہ ڈیفالٹ کر رہا ہے بجلی کے بلوں پہ, وہ ڈیفالٹ کر رہا ہے سوئی گیس کے بلوں پہ, وہ ڈیفالٹ کر رہا ہے اپنے وینڈرز کی پیمنٹ پہ, بیکاز ایف بی آر از سٹنگ آن ہز کلیمس ریفنڈ کلیمس, کہ وہ کہتے ہیں جی ہم نے تو آٹومیشن کر دی ہوئی ہے. آٹومیشن ابھی پچھلے 2-3 ہفتے میں ملاقاتیں شبر زیدی صاحب سے ہوئی, انہوں نے بولا ایچ فارم جو ہے نا اس میں کوئی غلطیاں رہ گئی ہیں اینڈ دے نیڈ ٹو بی کریکٹڈ. 5 مہینے میں نہیں ہوئی, 4.5 مہینے میں. اینڈ اسٹل دیر واز اے نیڈ کہ اس پہ وہ کریکٹ ہوں. اور میں سمجھتا ہوں اسی طرح یہ بانڈس کی بات 327 اور 457, جتنے لوگوں کے پاس, اول تو میں نے آپ کو بتایا کہ آل آف پاکستان سارے ایکسپورٹرز گنے, دیر ول بی تھاؤزنڈز آف ایکسپورٹرز اف ناٹ ہنڈریڈز آف تھاؤزنڈز, اور اس میں اونلی 96 جو ہیں وہ اپرووڈ ہوئے ہیں اس میں. اور اس کے اپلائی کرنے میں اور لینے کے لیے ہمیں 1.5-2 سال لگے. 1.5 to 2 years ہمیں لگے ٹو گیٹ اے لائسنس فار DTRE. اینڈ دین وہ آڈٹس آئی وش جس طرح آٹومیشن ہو رہی ہے اور وہ مشین آڈٹ کرے اور وہ سب کچھ ہو. ادروائز the auditors under the additional collector and the collector, they make a mess of it. وہ ہر چیز کو نیگیٹو سائڈ پہ لے جا کے they want to squeeze as much money as they possible can. وہ 10% مانگتے ہیں, 15% مانگتے ہیں جی, تب آپ کو آڈٹ کی رپورٹ ہم سائن کریں گے, ادروائز وی ڈونٹ سائن دم. So sir, this automation के लिए you will have to hire experts of IT और जो सही प्रोग्राम करके उसको सही तरीके से चलाएं भी, इम्प्लीमेंट भी करें. सिर्फ पेपर पे प्रोग्राम बना देना या पेपर पे पॉलिसी बना देना या पेपर पे ऑटोमेशन कर देना is not good enough.
Sir.
I thank
you, sir. I think on automation, sir, I'm sure Chief Saab जो हैं वो progress बेहतर explain करेंगे. But one of the findings from our work was कि उसमें interdepartmental coordination भी बहुत इस वक्त required है, because बहुत सारी चीज़ें जो इनके पास आती हैं वो verify करनी हैं departments other than FBR as well. So your point is well taken. It's very important. Ji, Aptama.
I'll also add a few more things to these grievances. And the problem is not only how can we increase exports through these export promotion schemes, but the major issue is that how can we save our own domestic commerce and domestic industry from the influence of these schemes. For example, before we had zero rating for the whole industry, exporting industry. So the domestic manufacturer of raw materials had an edge over the imported raw materials because of easy availability of those raw materials and timely delivery and quality as well. But now that we have imposed sales tax, so if I'm a cotton, if I use cotton for as a raw material and I am an exporter, so rather than purchasing that cotton from someone local and paying that 10% sales tax on that cotton, I would rather like to import it duty-free to manufacture my exports. So this one condition has created a discriminatory treatment towards our local industry, while we are also promoting and motivating our exporters to import their raw materials rather than to buy them from the local manufacturers and availability of raw materials. So we are squeezing our own local industry of raw materials by incentivizing imports and this is also a sort of, we are providing a commercial edge for any exporters to shift their mix of raw materials from consuming domestically produced cotton to rather import it. And if, as I'm representing textile sectors, I would like to mention here that cotton is currently subjected to 3 different types of duties. If I'm an exporter and if I'm importing it, I can import it duty-free through DTRE, EOU, or bonds. Secondly, if I'm an exporting and I'm purchasing domestically produced cotton, then I have to pay a 10% sales tax on this. Thirdly, if I'm importing cotton without any such scheme, then I have to pay a 5% sales tax. So we are subjecting one raw material through 3 different types of taxations, and obviously the commercial and financial advantage is to import it through these schemes rather than to buy it from the local producer or pay 5% duty on imports. So we have to remove this anomaly and we have to save our own raw material industry as well. Cotton is the baseline of our economy for decades, and textiles is almost 58 to 57% of our total exports. And if we are trying to squeeze the local cotton industry and promoting cotton imports through these schemes, then we all definitely have to look into this. One suggestion can be to impose the same level of sales tax on the imports, and then that can be refunded through the faster system and automated system of FPR. If now refunds is not an issue, as claimed by the FPR and those authorities, then we can at least have both things subject to the same level of taxation, so that we remove that commercial advantage to import rather than purchase it from my local fellow men. Sure. So this is something that I'd like to add to this discussion.
Thank you. And maybe before I go back to FBR, we could bring in the other government bodies here for their quick inputs. So we have the Commerce Ministry, we have TDAP, SECP, and State Bank. So in case anybody would like to chip in here, maybe because sir आपका जो एक सवाल था वो EDF के साथ relevant था जी
6 हफ्ते से सर 6 weeks से हम उन्हें फॉलो अप कर रहे हैं कि या अपना डेटा अपडेट करें या हमारा रोल बैक कर दें तब जब कि आपका डेटा अपडेट हो जाएगा वी कैन फाइल इट अगेन 6 weeks on email, on personal calls, it has not been even rolled back.
Sir.
वो केस ही वापस ही नहीं आया कि हम दोबारा सबमिट कर सकें कि वो जब उनका डेटा जो है वो अपडेट हो जाता है तो दिस इज ऑटोमेशन पे you will have to work very hard. And I do not know if you are the boss of chief automation or not. Otherwise, मैं आपसे कहूँगा आपके साथ कार्ड एक्सचेंज करूँगा and we can send you an email or whatever if we have complained with the FBR automation department.
So maybe Shahid sir, we can bring in State Bank and then EDF.
I have heard all the things with reference to the FBR. Just a lot of the things are available. He mentioned in the initial presentation there is a lack of awareness at the bottom level, but there are a lot of the complications as well. The same situations is with the State Bank as well. We are pursuing all the banks with reference to the providing the access to finance, particularly to the SMEs, because as per the census which was conducted way back in 2005, 3.2 million entrepreneurs are there in Pakistan, and out of that 90% are the SMEs. And out of that 90%, that makes a total of 2.88 million entrepreneurs. And only 180,000 SMEs are being looked after by the bank in terms of providing the access to finance. And if I take the data from 2004 to 2014, the access to finance amount is exactly the same. So right now, as of December 2018, 513 billion rupees of through the different banks are being provided. And we have given the targets to the banks as well. We have emphasized on creating a separate segment for the SME because the SME definition is very wide. See, it is in two folds like SE and ME. And SE definition is annual sales turnover from 1 million to up to 150 million, and there's a landing limit of 25 million in it. And for middle enterprises, from 150 million to up to 800 million. So it's a big band. Even the middle enterprises customers are very mature customers. I think there is no risk. But I don't know what is the psyche in the banks that they are not having a risk with reference to the SME. And there's a ample facilities are available from the State Bank's counter which is being provided to the bank in terms of the high interest rate scenario where the discount rate is 13.25. State Bank has announced numerous concessionary rate financing which is at 6%, and the tenor is up to 10 years, 12 years for the modernization of the machineries in which they can replace their existing machineries under the BMR. Modernization of machine. Refinance facility for the modernization of SMEs. And under the SME, middle enterprise, the lending ceiling is up to 200 million. That means up to 200 million, the financing facility is available at 6%. And tenor, sorry? It is restricted for the SMEs. For the SMEs, so that the bottom line of the entrepreneur should grow. And this facility is for 10 years. Markup rate is 6% to be received from the entrepreneurs, and the bank spread is 4%. Liquidity is being provided by the State Bank of Pakistan. And within that ambit, even the 500 kVA generator can also be procured through this financing. The second facility for the renewable energy, which is also available in 3 categories. For the big projects who would like to generate the electricity through the wind power, like solar system, and each and everything from biogas. 6 billion rupees are being allocated for a single project, and they can generate the energy and provide it to the distribution, and the markup rate is again 6%. Sorry, not +4. Out of this 6, 4% will go to the bank's benefit, and a state bank will take only 2%. It's altogether 6%. I think that is the lack of awareness. And contrary to that, yesterday, Governor of State Bank had a meeting with the different commerce senior people, and the big exporters were sitting over there, chairman, not less than that. And the same question was asked from 8 different people, and they were not aware. And last night, I sent all these schemes through an email with the web link to them so that they can distribute among all their community. Banks, we are continuously advising. We have conducted 200 awareness sessions, pan-Pakistan. Even last week, I was in Gwadar. I was conducting it by myself. The bankers are not aware. The entrepreneurs are not aware. So this renewable energy for even the individual purpose is also available. So if you would like to put the solar panels on your house, you can take the financing at 6% and place it and convert it into the solar system. And during the winter season, if the excess electricity is there, the net metering system is there, it will reversely go to the distributor, and you can claim the commission. So whatever you are supplying to the distribution side. Financing facility for storage of agricultural produce, to develop the cold storages, the warehouses, import of silos, it is also available at 6%. 4% bank spread, 2% to be given to the state bank. And it's a facility up to 10 years. Minimum single project facility is up to 500 million. Because in all the agri areas, these things need to be developed, and out of this 500 million, 65% financing is available for the civil work. The rest of the things can be placed for the machineries and the cooling system in place. Lot of the other facilities are also available, like in terms of the risk coverage. If the banks are thinking that SME is the riskier area, so up to 60% risk coverage is also being provided for the small enterprises. And the low medium enterprise, like the medium enterprise, sale threshold is up to 800 million. So we have concluded, after the insistence of some of the entrepreneurs, that the small enterprises can only be catered in that we should increase the threshold. So we increase the threshold from 150 million up to 300 million to cover the lower end of the middle enterprises, so that up to 60%. Like if the bank has less than 100% collateral, 60% risk coverage is available through this guarantee scheme, which is available free of cost to all the banks through State Bank's counter. And if the collateral is up to 100%, 40% risk coverage is available. And if the collateral is less than excess of 100%, then 20% risk coverage is available. There are different modalities. I would suggest all those entrepreneurs should visit the State Bank website, where all these schemes are available, the modalities are available, so that you can go and ask the banks, please give the lending under these schemes, so that your cost of doing the business would reduce drastically, because KIBOR is 13.5, and on the top of that, if you add up 3% spread, it makes a total of 16.5%, whereas it is right now at 6%.
Sir.
It's 6%. So I would suggest that go and use this thing, because I think lot of awareness lacking is there, and that need to be understood. There are a lot of the good steps is being taken.
Thank you. Thank you, Shahid sir.
Making 25 billion or 30 billion or 50 billion of profits. Is it the policy of the government or the state bank to make the banks What I mean to say, I've said.
High risk, high reward. All these facilities and schemes are being provided. Liquidity is being provided by a state bank. And to attract the bank interest, because until and unless the bank interest is not being developed, how is going to land the entrepreneur? So we are providing at 6% so that they can give that money at 6% to the entrepreneur. And when they receive the 6% markup at every quarter, retain 4% for them and give 2% to state bank. So in that case, entrepreneur is not the one who is having a hit. If you reduce the spread, the bank will not be interested in that.
Maybe, Shahid sir, we can continue the bilateral over lunch. We have DG TDAP as well, sir. If you would like to, maybe your inputs would be crucial over here because you're faced with the exporters.
Thank you very much, Dr. Baka, for giving me this opportunity. I have heard it out, because now we are coming, since I have been coming after 8 years to this organization back, and I was in the different missions, so I was looking the other side of the picture on the other side also, and looking at what the exporters are talking about today. I was on the other side of the picture. Let me first of all say that all the written proposals coming to the new schemes for export promotion and export, what we call it as this exemptions, this is already in place in Commerce Ministry, and they are in process of developing the new strategic trade policy framework. So all these would be taken care of as far as the new schemes are concerned. Today was a good academic discussion coming it out, as he's mentioned it out, as my colleague mentioned, was the grievances it was coming out of it. Sometimes it is very good to blow out, because then it gives a new energy to restart it again from the scratch again, and we build up from there also. Today, I have heard it out from a different perspective. Today is this, I have taken this dialogue from a different perspective today. My perspective is that what is the learning I'm taking back to my ministry back is, some issues are being thrown towards FPR in a process that they are not interpreting it properly. Probably, I might be also discussing with this, probably we need to make it more clear at some stage also. That is one part which I'm taking with me. Second part is naturally what I have heard it out is a much more about awareness programs. Now different stakeholders are doing individual efforts and their interfaces are very limited. So what I will suggest to this Orders Guardian is that we collectively as a stakeholders, every individual and a public sector organization sitting in here has a different interface with a different type of a person. Please, we will request you that we should synergize our energies in creating awareness collectively, because I have a different interface as TDAP with a different type of exporters. State Bank of Pakistan is doing its own, and they have a different interface to talk about. Probably when we synergize our energies together, at least to the awareness, to that extent of awareness, we should develop small programs collectively, not individually. We all are individually taking our effort to create awareness about the programs. That would develop a big thing for us, because today, even I heard it out that about the scheme, some exporters have mentioned it out that something which comes on the screen was a new thing for them also. Similarly, about State Bank of Pakistan schemes, we were not aware about a lot of things coming it up. If we collectively come up at some stage, one, it will give much interface of blowing out our grievances. It will give us more energy to go back and re-energize ourselves and come back again. And thirdly, naturally, every day it's a learning process. And we will be learning more about it and try to do whatever the best we can do about it. This is the first input because it's the first dialogue of the series. Naturally, next time we will be giving more inputs and more details about it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think it's important that you summarize the learning. And maybe staying with commerce, we also have the Export Development Fund with us. So we could sort of very briefly hear from you as well.
Thank you very much. Basically, I'm representing Export Development Fund. It is basically the surcharge collected from the exporters at the rate of 0.25%. And last year, we had collected around 7.7 billion rupees in the fund, and this fund is for the export development. All association chambers can apply for that, and we have been supporting various associations and chambers. This time we have issued for the first time in our history to letters to at least all chambers, informing them that there is a fund available You can use that for any type of activities which results in export growth. It can be participation in trade fairs, it can be any research and development, it can be related to compliance infrastructure, laboratories, etc. So right now, as surgical instruments industry, stakeholder from that industry ask about support for that MDR certification, they can also utilize this fund for that. I can clearly say, openly say that we have been collecting more than 6 to 7 billions per annum from last 2 to 3 years. However, the projects are, I guess you can say that we have received not more than 1 to 2 billion from the industry. So we are not even getting the proposals from the industry which we can then give funds to. And then there comes an issue of the quality of the project as well. We usually get proposals which are related to display centers inside Pakistan. So they are more into the infrastructure development rather than the schemes or studies or outreach to the importers. That kind of projects we are not getting from the industry. So it's a fund. You are each day industry is paying more than 20 to 25 million for this fund. So it is with the Ministry of Commerce. Finance asked us that you don't have the capacity to implement the export development projects because you don't have the proposal. So we are cutting from the budget, but it is there. So if the proposals start coming, we will be basically utilizing that money for the export growth. So I will encourage all the industry stakeholders to utilize that fund. Send good proposals. We have put a deadline of 31st December 2019 for submission of proposal for funding for the next year. So I will encourage all industry stakeholders to discuss it with their other industry members and send the proposals as soon as possible. Thank you.
What's the time cap you need before the proposal is to be, for example, if there is an exhibition in January, so I can't put it in December and you can fund it in January. So what's the lead time?
Well, previously there has been an issue that there is no timeline for this fund. You can send any proposal, it can get, if there is a board meeting, it can get approved as soon as possible because there was no timeline. But that lack of timeline was also a hurdle for lack of planning. So we are right now trying to have a proper annual plan. So first target is for us is to get as many proposals as we can, good proposals by 31st December 2019, and then we can help out. So it's not a one-time thing. You can send the proposal as soon as possible. Sometimes it happens that board meeting comes right before the event and it get approved. The payment can be made after the event as well. It can happen, but I would like everyone to submit as soon as possible. And if you have any kind of queries, you can directly call or email. We have a website and you can get all the related information. Thank you.
मेजर जो चीज़ें हैं बहुत इंटेंशन है गवर्नमेंट की कि काम हो और इस तरह लगता है कि नियत भी है, लेकिन स्कीमें आती हैं जिस तरह की अभी आई हैं ये दे आर वेल डॉक्यूमेंटेड और लोगों को पता भी है, लेकिन इम्प्लीमेंट नहीं होती, उनके ऊपर अमल नहीं होता। जिस तरह बिजली के रेट्स हैं, गैस के रेट्स हैं, GIDC का मामला है, चल रहा है, चलता रहा है और ये तलवारें लटकी हुई हैं पूरी की पूरी इंडस्ट्री के ऊपर। अपना अभी भी जो हम आजकल जो गैस के बिल्स पे कर रहे हैं टेक्सटाइल के, उसके हर महीने हमें जाके कोई ना कोई स्टे लेने पड़ता है और फिर जाके उसकी अमेंडमेंट होती है। हालांकि गवर्नमेंट ने उसके ऊपर क्लियरली कहा हुआ है कि भाई हम अपना पेमेंट जो कम $6.5 के ऊपर होगी। बिल आता है 1700 कुछ रुपए का, विच इज़ मोर देन $11 and $12। तो इस तरह पूरे मुल्क के अंदर बहुत बड़ी डिस्क्रिमिनेशन है अपना इंडस्ट्री में, जिसको फॉलो नहीं किया जा रहा। रिफंड्स हैं, उनकी पेमेंट्स होती नहीं है, जिस तरह अजहर साहब ने पहले जिक्र किया। मैं आपको अपना टावल इंडस्ट्री के बारे में ये बता दूं कि 2 साल पहले there were 162 exporters और उसमें से about 20 of them were exporting more than 60% of the goods which were being exported. اور یہ جو اسکیمز ہیں ان سب کے باوجود سوائے جس طرح بہت ہی شاید 2 یا 3 لوگ ہوں گے پوری انڈسٹری کے اندر جو ان اسکیمز کو اویل کر رہے تھے. تو دیر آر ڈیفینیٹلی ہرڈلز وچ نیڈ ٹو بی لکڈ انٹو. اور اس کے علاوہ گورنمنٹ کی جو انٹینشنز ہیں ان کو پریکٹیکل اس کے اندر بھی کرنا بہت ضروری ہے. جس طرح ایکسپورٹ ڈیولپمنٹ فنڈ کے بارے میں بات کی آپ نے, اس وقت جو بھی کوئی ایکسپورٹر ہے اس کے لیے ضروری ہو گیا ہے کہ کمپلائنسز پوری کرے, اور ان کمپلائنسز میں ایک میجر کمپلائنس ایفلوئنٹس کا ہے. اور دیز ایفلوئنٹ پلانٹس آر ویری بگ کاسٹ, اور ان کو اپنا گورنمنٹ کو کلسٹرز کے اندر کر کے لگانا چاہیے. نہیں لگائیں گے تو چھوٹے چھوٹے جو یونٹس ہیں جو چل رہے ہیں وہ بھی نہیں چل پائیں گے. یہ میں آپ کو نیکسٹ ایئر سے اپنا بہت بڑی آ رہی ہیں یورپ سے کمپلائنسز کو وہ کرنے کی, تو اس کے اوپر آپ کو بہت سیریسلی سوچنا پڑے گا.
جی
I should also share that we are right now funding 2 effluent treatment plants, one in Sialkot and one in Karachi Kurangi industrial area. In last meeting, we have allocated additional 770 million rupees for the Sialkot Tannery zone. So EDF is there.
This is not enough. It has to be
Yeah.
done in
So
Faisalabad as well as Lahore. There are textile units all over the country.
Yes.
And unless you go after them in a very, very serious way, your exports are going to be affected, I can assure you, from next year.
Yes, sir. That's what I was telling, that right now this Export Development Fund, yeah,
Regarding these excellent plans.
yes, right now we are not even getting the proposals, because if nobody is applying for that fund, we cannot come and give it to you. So at least we have to get the proposal from the industry, from their association.
I think
So
you will have to be more proactive and
yes,
interact with the chambers
yes,
and associations in every city to be able to achieve your goal. A lot of them are unable to even come up with their proposals. You will have to supplement them. You will have to help them in implementing as well as
preparing.
bringing out those proposals.
Right. Thank you.
Effluent treatment plant.
ہم کتنے سالوں سے ریکویسٹ کر رہے ہیں؟ میرے خیال میں آلموسٹ 5 years plus. 5 years plus. It could be 5 to 10 years that we have been demanding کہ یہ ہونا چاہیے, چونکہ ایک ایفلوئنٹ ٹریٹمنٹ پلانٹ کی کاسٹ ایک یونٹ نہیں دے سکتا. Nobody individually can pay it. اور نہیں پے کر سکتا تو پہلے تو صرف کمپلائنسز انٹرنیشنل اوورسیز بائرس کی ہوتی تھی. آج کل جو آپ کا انوائرمنٹ ڈپارٹمنٹ ہے, دے کم اینڈ کلوز یور یونٹ کہ آپ کے پاس افلوئنٹ ٹریٹمنٹ پلانٹ نہیں لگا ہوا. ایک ہفتہ ہمارا یونٹ بند رہا کہ جی افلوئنٹ ٹریٹمنٹ پلانٹ نہیں ہے. 1 week they close it. میری ایکسپورٹ تقریباً کوئی میرے خیال میں $2-3 million کی ایکسپورٹ, اینڈ اباؤٹ 2,000 people were laid off for 1 week.
Sir, noted. Maybe now I want to give the floor back to Chief Saab for, we can of course continue to discuss the other bilateral issues over lunch, but just because some people have to leave at 1 p.m., so probably I'll request him to respond to what has been said. Sir, آپ نے بہت اچھا ہمیں ڈیٹا پوائنٹ دیا ہے کہ 162 میں سے اگر صرف 2 لوگ یہ ایکسپورٹ ایگزیمپشن اسکیمس یوز کر رہے ہیں, سو پرابلی دیر از اے نیڈ فار مور انگیجمنٹ بٹوین دا ٹاول ایسوسیشن اینڈ دا FBR.
بہت سارے سوالات کی میں بہت مختصراً آپ سے کروں گا. I have been to so many of these meetings and always at the receiving end وہ جو پنچنگ گراؤنڈ ہوتی ہے. جب میں کسی وجہ سے یہ پوچھتا ہوں کم ڈاؤن ٹو اے اسپیسیفک کیس, مثلاً میں نے ابھی DTRE کا کہا بڑی ڈیلے ہوتی, سال لگ جاتا. آئی ہیو ہرڈ دس. میں پچھلے 3 مہینے میں مجھے ایک ٹرانزیکشن بتائیں جس میں 1 مہینے سے زیادہ لگا ہو. ٹھیک ہے, کم اپ ود 1 ایگزامپل اینڈ آئی ول سی کہ اس میں کیا ہوا ہے. میرے لیے جو سبسٹینشیل بات ہے وہ ایک تو ہے نا کہ آپ نے اپنا گرمی سردی نکال دی, تھینک یو ویری مچ. سبسٹینشیل بات یہ ہے کہ کیا کرنا چاہیے. مثلاً پچھلی بار جب میں نے یہ بجٹ کے دوران ایکسرسائز کیا تو مجھے یہ پتہ چلا کہ ہم جو ٹیکنالوجی پہ انویسٹ تھوڑا کم کر رہے ہیں, اور جن لوگوں نے ٹیکنالوجی پہ انویسٹ کیا ہے وہ دے آر بیٹر آف. اگر ہم وہ نہیں انویسٹ کر رہے اسکیم دس اور اسکیم دیٹ, اٹ ول ناٹ بی ہیلپ فل. مثلاً مجھے یہ احساس ہوا کہ یہ جو 10 سال مشینری ریٹین کرنے والی کلازز ہیں, آج کل مشینری جو وہ پرانا زمانہ تھا کہ لویا اور وہ ہے, وہ اب ماڈرن مشینری ہے تو اس کی, تو ہم نے اس کو کم کر کے اسی بجٹ میں وہ 10 سال کی بجائے 5 سال کر دیا. 5 سال سے پہلے بھی اگر آپ اس کو ڈسپوز آف کرنا چاہتے ہیں تو اس کے بھی پھر یہ کہ اگر آپ 3 سال بعد ڈسپوز کرنا چاہتے ہیں تو آپ 50% دے دیں گے, اگر آپ 4 سال بعد کرنا چاہتے ہیں تو 25% جو آپ نے لائبلٹیز نہیں دی وہ دے دیں, اور 5 سال کے بعد آپ کرنا چاہتے ہیں مشینری ڈسپوز آف تو اس پہ 0% ہوگا. اسی طرح کے ڈیلے ہو جاتا ہے. ہم نے اپلیکیشن دے دی اور اپلیکیشن پروسیس نہیں ہوئی. ساری اسکیموں میں ہم نے یہ کیا کہ وہ ای ڈی بی سے جواب نہیں آ رہا, آئی او سی او سے نہیں آ رہا, ریگولیٹر سے نہیں آ رہا, پھر بھی وہ اپرووڈ ہے اور اس کو آپ پروویژنل کر دیں تاکہ کام اس کا شروع ہو جائے. خاص طور پہ جو ہائی اینڈ کے ٹیکسٹائل والے انہوں نے اس کو ریز کیا کہ ہمارے پاس جو لیڈ ٹائم ہے وہ کم ہوتا ہے اگر ہم اس طرح خود منگوا کے اور کانٹیکٹ کر کے, تو اس میں زیادہ زیادہ دیر لگ جائے گی. اسی طرح یہ ہے کہ ہم نے مثلاً را مٹیریل منگوا لیا تو ایک طرف مجھے یہ بہت زیادہ بتایا گیا کہ ہمیں 1 مہینے میں سپلائی کرنا ہے, ہمیں 15 دن میں سپلائی کرنا ہے, تو اس کا تو ہم نے یہ پروویژنس ڈال دی ہیں. دوسری طرف یہ ہے کہ میں 2 سال پہلے لے آیا تھا اور میرے پاس ابھی تک ایکسپورٹ نہیں ہو سکا, تو اس کا کچھ ضرور کر لیں 2 سال والے کا. تو وہ ہم نے اس کا حل یہ نکالا ہے کہ یہ اس کے آڈٹ اور یہ کرنے کی بجائے چیف کلیکٹر کو اختیار دے دیا کہ وہ کیس اور ریکارڈ کر لے ریزنس, اور بہت سارے لوگوں کے وہ جینون مسائل ہیں تو وہ ادھر ہی اس کو ایکسٹینڈ. اور ابھی تک میں نے ایک شکایت نہیں سنی پچھلے 5 مہینے میں کہ کسی نے ڈاکیومنٹس سبمٹ کیے ہیں اور اس کو ایکسٹینشن نہیں دی گئی ہو. میرے لیے جو یہ زیادہ ضروری ہے کہ کم اپ وتھ سم تھنگ وچ از سبسٹینشیل, کہ یہ ہمارا لاجک ہے اور ہم یہ چاہ رہے ہیں. وہ ریگولیٹر جو ہے وہ ریگولیشن کو ٹھیک کر سکتا ہے. ایکسپورٹ جو ہے وہ جس طرح کی انٹرنیشنل مارکیٹ میں کمپیٹیٹیونیس ہو سکتی ہے, کمپیٹ بزنس نے خود کرنا. وہ جو پلے گراؤنڈ والی ہے وہ آپ کے مسائل جو بہت سارے جینون ہیں جن کا ہمارے پاس ابھی ایف بی آر کے پاس جو حل ہے وہ شاید نہ ہو. جس طرح کے فیکٹرز آف پروڈکشن ہیں وہ بڑھ گئے, بجلی پانی گیس اور اس طرح کی چیزیں بڑھ گئی ہیں, لیبر کی کاسٹ وہ تو اپنی جگہ پہ رہیں گے. ہم نے جو میں نے ابھی بتایا کہ اس بجٹ سے بھی تھوڑا سا پہلے کہ ٹیکسٹائل کا یونٹ ہے جو شرٹیں بناتا ہے اور وہ کہتا ہے میں نے کول امپورٹ کرنا ہے. اب کول کے انپٹ کو اب شرٹوں سے کر نہیں نہ سکتے, لیکن وہ ہم نے کہ اس کو ایک بار اجازت دے دیں, یہ آہستہ آہستہ سیٹل ہو جائے گا کہیں کہ کتنا آپ نے آؤٹ پٹ اگر 1 لاکھ شرٹ بنی ہے تو کتنے کول کی وہ یا گیس کی یا اس طرح سے اجازت دینی ہے وہ کر دیں جو ریگولیٹر کر سکتا ہے. دوسری جو شکایت آتی ہے کہ وہ پیسے مانگ رہے ہیں, اس کا حل جس طرح ڈیموکریسی کا ہے کہ نہیں چل رہی تو اس کا حل ہے زیادہ ڈیموکریسی, اور وہ نہیں چل رہی تو اس کا حل ہے اور زیادہ ڈیموکریسی. جو آٹومیشن جہاں پہ نہیں چل رہی اس کا حل مزید آٹومیشن ہے. پہلے آپ کے پاس جو مانیٹر کرنے کے لیے اور ریگولیٹرز کے پاس بھی مانیٹر کرنے کے لیے آپ نے اپلیکیشن دے دی ہے تو اب یہ پیپر ٹریل ہے, میں اس کو کچھ بھی کر سکتا ہوں, لیکن جو سسٹم پہ ٹریل رہتی ہے اس کو آپ وہ کر سکتے, تو وہ ہم اس کی کرنے کی کوشش کر رہے ہیں. سیلز ٹیکس سے متعلقہ جو ہے وہ میری خواہش ہے کہ کوئی, کیونکہ میں کسٹمز ایف بی آر کسٹمز میں ہوں اور کسٹمز کی چیزوں کا فیئرلی گڈ آئیڈیا ہے. سیلز ٹیکس کا یہ ایک بڑا جینون جب سے یہ جو ایکسپورٹ اورینٹڈ یونٹ کا جو 0 ریٹنگ ختم کر کے لوکل پروکیورمنٹ کی, وہ کوئی 1000 جگہ پہ یہ میں سن چکا ہوں. میرا خیال ہے کہ اب اس کو انڈسٹری کو ایکسیپٹ کرنا پڑے گا کہ یہ واپس نہیں جائے گا, جس طرح کہ میں نے اور میٹنگز میں بھی دیکھا ہے یہ نہیں ہوگا. یہ جو ابھی اظہر مجید صاحب یہ فرما رہے تھے کہ وہ जो हमें क्या पता नहीं, मैंने झांसा कहा था कि झांसा दिया कि जुलाई में हो जाएगा और ये अगस्त में नहीं हुआ, वो वो मेरा ख्याल है कि वो मैं सेल्स टैक्स वाले बेहतर कर सकते हैं, वो शुरू शुरू में उनकी तवक्कुआत ये नहीं थी कि ये इतना डिले उसमें लगेगा। दे वर वेरी वेरी होपफुल कि सितंबर में हम जो नई ट्रांजैक्शंस आ रही हैं, पिछला तो उसी तरह मैनुअल या सेमी मैनुअल चलता रहेगा, ये जो सितंबर ऑनवर्ड है, ये जितनी भी मंथली रिटर्न्स फाइल होती हैं, ये 72 घंटे में हो जाया करेंगी। तो उसमें ये प्रॉब्लम्स आ रहे हैं कि कुछ इनवाइसेस अपलोड होने में मुश्किल पेश आ रही है। वो यहाँ होते तो ज़्यादा करते, लेकिन उनका क्लेम ये है कि वो एच फॉर्म का इशू है कि वो अभी तक उस तरह से अलाइन नहीं हो रहा है। फिर शनाख्ती कार्ड का मसला, वो दे आर एड्रेसिंग दिस, और उनका अभी भी ये क्लेम है कि महीने के अंदर अंदर वो इसको स्टेबल कर लेंगे। मैं अपनी तरफ से, कस्टम्स की तरफ से इसको डिफेंड कर सकता हूं कि हमने इसमें अपनी प्रोविजंस में ये डाला हुआ था कि अगर आप लोकल प्रिक्योर करते हैं तो इसको ज़ीरो कर दें। अभी भी हमारा ये ख्याल है, लेकिन एक एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन है जिनका ये ख्याल है कि ये डॉक्यूमेंटेशन के लिए और इसके लिए बहुत ज़रूरी है, और वो उसमें आ ही नहीं रहे, तो उन्होंने इनकार कर दिया। दे आर नाउ वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट कि ये उससे बाहर ही रहेगी। अब उसे आगे चलना पड़ेगा कि हमारा जो हर रिटर्न के बाद हमें वेट करना पड़ता है, वो वेट ना करना पड़े। स्टेट बैंक ने उसमें बड़ा अहम पार्ट प्ले किया, और जो दरमियान वाली जो सारे इरिटेंट्स हैं वो अब रिमूव हो गए। यानी अब इंटरैक्शन जो था कि किसी ने कोई बटन दबाना है, वो नहीं हो गया। रिटर्न फाइल हो जाए तो रिटर्न फाइल के बाद स्टेट बैंक के सिस्टम में वो डायरेक्ट क्रेडिट करना, और उन्होंने मेरा ख्याल है 200 बिलियन तो कर भी दिया, और अब अपने मज़ीद भी करते जा रहे हैं। तो ये होपफुली इन ए मंथ और सो वो स्टेबल हो जाएगा। तो सेल टैक्स का एक जो बहुत इन्फ्लेट हो गया इशू जो हर जगह पे हमें फेस करना पड़ता है, वो मेरा ख्याल हो जाएगा। मैं जो दोबारा कंक्लूड करते हुए ये आपसे रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि सब्सटेंशियल मेरे पास अगर कोई चीज़ आती है, उसको हम एड्रेस कर सकते हैं, तकरीरें नहीं एड्रेस कर सकते, क्योंकि होता ही कुछ नहीं है, चलता ही कुछ नहीं है, और ये उसका यानी रेगुलेटर के पास कोई हल नहीं है कि ऑर्डर नहीं मुझे मिल रहा है। जो हमें दरमियान में ये है कि मैंने आपको ये बता दिया, आउटरीच एक बहुत बड़ा मसला है। बहुत सारे लोगों को, और ख़ास तौर पे जो छोटे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं, जो छोटे यूनिट्स हैं, उनको ये फैसिलिटीज़ एज सच पता नहीं है। उसमें जो लीडर्स हैं, जिस तरह आप हैं या चेंबर्स के हैं, वो बहुत हेल्पफुल हो सकते हैं। मैं आपसे भी, इस्लामाबाद से भी रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा, अभी अगले हफ्ते शायद कराची में भी जाऊँ, उनसे भी, चैम्बर से भी और फेडरेशन से भी रिक्वेस्ट करूँगा कि ये अवेलेबल है। इसमें कोई मसला था, लोगों को ये बताएं, और ख़ास तौर पे ऐसे एक्सपोर्टर जो इससे फ़ायदा नहीं उठा रहे, कि ये इस तरह से आप एप्लीकेशन फाइल कर सकते हैं, जाना कहीं नहीं पड़ेगा। ये जो ना, मैंने किसी अफसर के सामने पेश होना है और फिर उस अफसर ने कुछ कहना है, वो हमने ख़त्म कर दिया है। अब आप एक बार फाइल करके, लिस्ट आपको नज़र आ रही है कि ये डॉक्यूमेंट्स आपने देने हैं, वो अगर आईबी और अगर कुछ चीज़ों में वो इंडेमनिटी बॉन्ड और पोस्ट डेटेड चेक, वो तो ऐसी चीज़ें हैं जो आप हटा नहीं सकते, हार्ड कॉपी में आपको भेजने पड़ेंगी। अदरवाइज़ आपकी अगर एप्लीकेशन फाइल हो जाती है, तो यू एक्चुअली स्टार्ट मॉनिटरिंग कि अब इसका बनता क्या है। वो एक बार लोगों को ये बताएं कि ये इस तरह की चीज़ें अवेलेबल हैं, और देन कम टू अस एज रेगुलेटर कि जनाब ये देखें, ये इसको आपने कहा था 7 दिन में या 15 दिन में, ये जो DTRE का मैंने कहा कि 15 दिन से ज़्यादा नहीं था, कि ये देखें ये 16वां दिन हो गया और मुझे जवाब नहीं आया, तो फिर हम उसका कुछ कर सकते हैं कि प्रॉब्लम्स कहाँ पे।
So just two things, sir. जिस तरीके से हमने आपके साथ commit किया था, and when we had approached Shabar Saab for this meeting, we had also promised कि जी जो आपने बात की कि specific होना है कि written inputs जो हैं वो PRIEA और SDPI की तरफ से submit होंगी. So my request to all the associations here and all the individual entities as well, कि जो बातें आज हुई हैं, even if it's just 2 or 3 bullets, just email them to Wasif, क्योंकि that is going to be what Chief Saab is asking for, which is going really into the specifics of export exemption schemes. So maybe with this, if I can also request Ms. Berkey for some closing remarks on behalf of PRIEA, please.
Thank you once again. This was a very interesting discussion, and from you, it was a lot of food for thought for me. For a professional who's working on improving environment for exports and trade specifically, जो मेरे दिमाग में question ये आया है कि these are the schemes that are provided. They seem to be based on a mindset of encouraging existing exporters. And what we need to be mindful at a policy level is this deterring or creating barriers to entry for SMEs and domestic industry providers to enter into an export market. So in effect, are we in any way at this time, how do we increase our pie, the size of our pie? This is something that Mr. Muhammad Ahmed also elucidated on. So for me, another takeaway was that you have different government departments who have their own measures and schemes, the way for them to improve either the scale of the industry or encourage exports. But is there an export strategy at a national level that brings everything and ties in together? And thirdly, the thought that came to me is that, are we talking about promoting export from ground zero? In fact, we need to perhaps look at it from more gradual stage of encouraging industry in the country as a whole and encouraging scale in the industry, in the country as a whole, which can then lead to exports. So of course, we do need to increase our dollar earning capacity. But are we going through a shotgun approach that may not work? Or do we actually need to have a more consolidated effort so that we strengthen our base for industrialization, scaling up? But lastly, a lesson that you always learn when you develop policy, you need to understand the implications on other sector. Representative from ICI mentioned that how we were actually subsidizing international consumers by duty-free imports and penalizing consumer benefit on our domestic. Similarly, the impact that may have on domestic industry through certain privileges given. So this was in a whole, I think, within an hour or so, it's been a very rich discussion, and we hope that we're able to articulate your concerns and hope both at, to the degree that FBR and other government departments would like it to be articulated, but as well as, to the extent that we convey the representation of the private sector. So once again, thank you SDPI for this, for organizing this discussion, and we really are honored to be part of this. Thank you.
Thank you indeed. And PRIEA had also put together a series of 4 quarterly trade bulletins, which also capture under a special theme several of those issues which were highlighted, including the matter of export exemptions. So maybe with the minutes of this meeting, we'll also try circulating the web link to the quarterly trade bulletin. Fasih Saab had given very major inputs into that exercise. So
you're forgetting to mention SDPI had a great role in that quarterly trade bulletin.
Thank you. So really thank all of you who have come in. I understand that we couldn't do justice with the time which you have provided with quite a bit of generosity, but let's continue this discussion over a lunch. I'm told that lunch is served in the Nadia coffee shop downstairs. And maybe once again, before I leave, I can just stress upon the written inputs which we'll need for communicating to FBR and Ministry of Commerce going forward. So thank you very much, and we can continue the bilateral now. Thank you.